We are zooming into the community once again. We just love our new partnership with Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs. We are introducing you to great people across the state of Connecticut. But I should let you know, and I want to make sure I get this right because I have it in front of me, that did you know Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs have strengthened communities across our state by providing 400,000 hours, 400,000 hours, service hours per year. I want everyone to visit servect.org to learn more about joining a Connecticut AmeriCorps program in your community. And I love everything they have to offer. And I love when they can reunite friends. Our dear friend, Dawn Craco from FoodCorps. It is so wonderful to see you.
Hi, Renee. It's so great to be here, reunited with you.
Reunited, and your line of work continues to be in the same vein, which is helping to feed people here in the state of Connecticut, always food driven. I mean, we have such a problem with food insecurity here in our state, and it's so great to know that people actually can join Serve Connecticut and AmeriCorps and find programs like FoodCorps to help people here in our state. So I want you, Dawn, to tell, first of all, our listeners miss you because you used to be a frequent visitor on our program years and years ago with Ed Hunger Connecticut.
Yes.
So we're glad that you're still fighting the good fight. So tell us about this program in particular and how people can help.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me back, Renee. Always, always a pleasure to be talking with you about anything. But we'll try and stick to food, which is, like you said, been really what I've focused on for the majority of my career. And now I'm working at FoodCorps Connecticut, and we are a national nonprofit organization. We're a part of Serve Connecticut's portfolio of AmeriCorps programs in our state, and we're really working to connect kids to healthy food in school. So our positions are AmeriCorps service positions. They're full-term or full-time opportunities to work in schools, teaching kids about food, getting in the garden, cooking lessons, taste tests in the cafeteria. I know we'll go all into that, but we have 20 positions that are available starting in August. We are starting interviews now. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the opportunity to serve with FoodCorps for next year.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about these positions. Would they be volunteer-based? Would they be paid positions? And how does that work? And also, how do they apply? And maybe could I volunteer some of my help? Because I would love to help teach how to cook in the kitchen. I think that would be something I'm good at.
You'd be good at all of the Italian delicacies, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so there's a whole lot we can get into there. So first, these are paid service positions. So when you serve with AmeriCorps and when you serve with FoodCorps, you receive a paid stipend. So it is a full-time position. Ours are full-time 11-month positions. So our service term starts on August 9th and goes all the way to July 8th, 2022. And they're about 37 to 40 hours a week. So they are full-time, and you're pretty much matching the schedule of schools and school districts because you are working really closely with 1 to 2 schools. The stipend is $22,000 a year. So like I said, it's paid service. And if you complete the term successfully, you stick with us for the full 11 months, you actually receive an education award, which next year will be about $6,300, $6,343, I believe. And on top of that, we have health insurance, and you really do build a network of individuals working on food issues and community food system issues. So it's another benefit to thinking about like how you can leverage service for a career and what you want to do next, your personal and professional goals. If you want to learn more about the specifics of like applying, you can go to foodcorps.org/apply. Pretty sure that's the address. If not, foodcorps.org will take you right to the page where you can learn about all of our programs nationwide. But I would vote for you to check out Connecticut specifically, learn about our service locations. So we're in 10 communities throughout the state, socially and economically disadvantaged communities. And we provide the resource of a FoodCorps service member, sometimes multiple service members in those locations. I believe I said, well, but maybe I didn't, that we'll have 20 positions next year. Wow. So got to fill lots of them in communities across the state, really engaging with kids.
And would you say this is good for all ages, or maybe for someone looking for a career in education or in the culinary industry? So maybe this would look good on your college resume as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I should also just underscore that you do not have to have a college degree to serve. So you can have a GED or high school GED equivalent and still be eligible for service. But we do get a lot of folks that have just graduated from college and are looking to make an impact in the world through food. And as you've learned with Serve Connecticut, there are lots of other AmeriCorps opportunities that might fit interests or passions from individuals. But we really talk about kind of like our career pathways. So folks coming out of school or thinking about like not jumping right into college and want to get some experience on the ground making an impact, and like thinking about what they might want to go to school for, typically kind of settle into like nutrition and public health fields, agriculture, food production. And when you're a service member, a lot of times you're working out in the garden, you're connecting with local farms, and you're learning about the process and the relationships and the systems. School food leadership or school nutrition leadership. I'm sure you've talked a lot, Renee, about the need for food access in our state, and specifically with the pandemic, with food insecurity rates increasing, and just like the vital resource school meals are. This from my Edinburgh, Connecticut days. I could get on my soapbox talking about this, but FoodCorps service members really support the school food heroes out there that are providing breakfast and lunch and produce and meal boxes for families out there. So we're an additional resource, and some folks get really excited about that and think about it as a career path. You named education. So if you are even moderately interested in becoming a teacher, entering the field of education, FoodCorps service gives you a chance to see what that's like in the classroom, right? You might be like, oh, I don't know if I want to commit to becoming a teacher for the rest of my life. Not that anything is ever like for the rest of your life anymore, but you want a sense of what it would be like to be in a classroom 5 days a week for a full school year. This gives you that chance. And if you're particularly passionate about food, you get to do that in a way that, there's like bouncing in and out of classrooms being the person that kids get really excited to see, because you bring the food, or you bring like the tasting, or you bring the activity where kids can learn how a seed sprouts and what it needs to thrive. And then the other two I would just mention is nonprofit management and policy and advocacy.
I was just going to say that because Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs, they reach into the community on so many different levels, whether it be nonprofit or faith-based or
Yes.
academics or food or volunteers, whatever the case may be, reaching into all sectors of our state, right? And really touching the lives of so many people. I would encourage people to visit servect.org. And if you are watching this on one of our social media platforms, there's going to be a link provided, and I will directly connect you to Don Craco's programs with FoodCorps, so you can get connected there. As we've just heard, there's opportunities, job opportunities, 20, I believe. But this is also, I would say, just another kind of layer of what AmeriCorps is and the programs are, and how people can actually, because you always hear, how can I make a difference? How can I help, right? What can I do? This is a perfect example of, even if someone is retired, right? This is a perfect example of how you can actually connect on such a level, and maybe even for people to see where some of these children are coming from, that how important food really is to them, and how some of these children don't have the luxury of having an apple when they want one, or whatever the case may be. So maybe if you could tell us a little bit exactly about some of the programs like that, that someone could actually do and make a difference with, I think that would open up some eyes about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I realized you had asked, like, how do you get involved? And I want to share that involved in FoodCorps can look a lot of different ways. So we do have these full-time AmeriCorps service positions. You may be listening or watching and thinking like, I have a job, or like this, I can't commit to that level. I would say that FoodCorps Connecticut is really looking for help spreading the word about these positions too. So we have a Facebook page, FoodCorps Connecticut, and Instagram, FoodCorps_CT, where we're spreading the word about letting folks know that these positions exist. It's been interesting trying to recruit during, like everything, right? Everything has been an additional, has been a challenge during the pandemic. So our usual venues for getting the word out, like career fairs or speaking in front of classes or just being out in the community through like word of mouth, have been certainly less than they are in a normal year. So if you are thinking like, I like to just do something, like visiting our social media, spreading the word about these positions, like telling a friend, telling a colleague who may know someone who knows someone who knows someone who thinks this might be a fit for their son or daughter, you know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing we're looking for. But you asked about kind of like the specifics of a FoodCorps service and like what it actually looks like. And I'd say that we talk about our programming with respect to our 3 areas of service. So hands-on learning in the classroom, in the school garden, really increasing knowledge and exposure around foods, healthy school meals. So as I started to touch upon, supporting school meal programs, and that way there are a whole lot of folks that are out there on the front line serving meals, like kind of on the operations and making sure that they're accessible. And sometimes families don't know about them. We've talked about that with summer meals before. Schools across the state are now taking advantage of federal waivers to serve free meals to all students. And there is like an information gap too, and knowing and like access area issues as well. But FoodCorps service members do a lot to promote the fact that these meals are available, like the times that they're available, what they can pick up, and then help to support what goes into the meal. So leading taste tests, getting students excited about trying new things or trying them in new ways, and then giving them the agency to vote, right? Say like, I liked it, I loved it, or even I tried it, because we celebrate that too, like trying new things, kind of like our motto. And then the last piece, so hands-on learning, healthy school meals. The last piece is really encouraging a school-wide culture of health. So knowing that every school and every community is unique and have their own goals around what they'd like to see the school food environment look like. Is it the establishment of a school garden? Is it a healthy food fundraiser? Is it adorning the walls of the school with messaging around fruits and vegetables? This looks different, and we kind of like reserve the right to let a community decide like what we need to be to them. And that's why applying from we're like specifically looking for individuals from the communities that we serve, so that, you know, they can make those connections and have the opportunity to really help shape what service looks like. I gave you more examples, but those are like the cornerstones of our programming, I would say.
Well, it's very clear and evident that you're in the right position, because your passion
Oh.
is really just beaming right through here, are zooming into the community conversations with Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs, which, by the way, I think in a year, over 450 Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps members are in specifically the Connecticut community, making a difference in the lives of students and people on all different levels. And again, I would encourage people to visit servect.org. I'm truly enjoying getting to know each different program or arm of what is available, and all of the programs and the people and children that you absolutely help. And of course, keeping children fed and feeding people, and also understanding your food, and maybe having a healthier approach to it, is certainly one way that you all are making a difference. Tell me, Don, in your words, what it's been like for you as a member of the Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs under FoodCorps. How has this changed your life?
Oh, wow, Renee, I did not expect that question. Not,
yes, you did. Somewhere deep down in there, you expected it. You're expecting something.
yeah. It's funny, I was just leading an interview, a service member interview for one of these positions yesterday. I got thrown a little bit of a curveball, but like it relates to what I would share here. And just that I think that so much of a part of our program is about leadership and making room for for individuals to find the leader within them. And that looks different, like depending on who you are. We're all leaders, right? But being in my position as the program director and getting to see, I think we've had over 100 now since I've been part of FoodCorps in Connecticut, specifically 100 people moved through our program over the past few years. And it's just been incredible to see how a year of service, being a humble servant to a community and taking like the cues from the community leaders that are there, the principals, the teachers, the parents and caregivers, the students themselves, and really being a resource and a support to their goals, how that can really transform your life. And I feel like I can speak for the various service members and now alum that have gone through a program who can say, yeah, it really did like change the way I thought about food, about access to food, about our approach to food systems work. And that really made me decide I want to be a teacher. And while I might be teaching all the subjects, I am going to incorporate food whenever I can, because we all connect to one another through food. We all have to eat. We have cultures and traditions, and food brings us together. And that's how I'm going to bring together my class and my students. Or, I really decided that I want to work for a nonprofit organization like FoodCorps. I want to do this kind of work in a different way. And I want to use my service experience as a way to really understand what it's like to be like in the shoes of some of the people that we say we're doing this work for. So I think that's been a real like privilege to be able to be in this role and see the transformation of leaders within our program and across the state, and then to just like follow what they do after and do my very best to like keep up with all of them because they're doing such wonderful things.
So you're like the kitchen of Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs, right? You're where everybody gathers and talks and feels free and promotes kindness and diversity, all while basing around food. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that is. I would say during COVID, like no one's doing quite the amount of gathering, but
Yeah,
we're
I
excited about
know.
recovering. Yeah, and can I talk a little bit about that? Do you mind about service during COVID?
No, we're going to have to cut you off here.
Okay,
I'm so
okay.
sorry. Of course. Please
Okay.
talk about that because, so many programs couldn't happen or they had to pivot and adjust. And that does lead us nicely into how were you able to still reach some of the people within FoodCorps?
Yeah, I mean the adjustment looks different for every AmeriCorps program depending on
Yep.
what they're focused on. I think for us, we still served in schools. We are still our service members. The majority of them are still working in schools. And what has been the real challenge has been just keeping up and like pivoting with like the learning models that are happening, right? Like going remote and then in person and then hybrid and then like but that's the same for like any school leader or any educator in our state who's just trying to keep up and do their best to keep students engaged. So we've been right alongside them with our partner school districts. When school's in person, our service members have been in person teaching lessons in socially distanced ways. There's been, some adjustment to what actually happens, like less tasting, more concentration on growing. But I just feel like a need to do a shout out to all the educators and school nutrition professionals out there that have been on the front line since the very beginning. And because we've had the opportunity to help support all of their virtual learning and in-person learning and remote meal distribution. And I would say like to me, it feels like these are when like service programs really have the opportunity to step up and like have appreciated the flexibilities around Serve Connecticut and AmeriCorps to think about just like how to be the best partner to the communities that we serve. So our program has looked a little different, but still, I was just looking at the numbers yesterday. Our service members have taught over 3,000 students this year already. Yeah, I mean, a lot over Zoom, but like, you can get real creative, as you know, with technology these days. We have some service members that have tried to and somewhat successfully, I think they would say, teach in hybrid ways. So if they're taking the students out to the garden and there's some kids that have opted for remote learning, they've got the laptop right there in the garden, like giving them something to do at home, but also like making them feel included and a part of the activity in the garden. And it's ended up in some dirty laptops, but who cares, right? Because kids are getting what they need. So we are looking forward to more traditional service and just in the coming school year and as we like round out this year. But I think it's important to know that the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, both in food insecurity and like social emotional learning needs and trauma as a result of being isolated, are going to be lasting for a while. So I see us being hopefully like a welcome partner and helping to continue to be what schools need us to be in the future as we figure out the new normal, I guess.
Whatever that may be. Dawn Craco is the program director for FoodCorps, Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs. I mean, you were so infectious with your passion about this. I would dare say once people are done watching this, you were going to fill those 20 positions.
Okay,
but I
so.
will ask this one question though, because I'm
Yeah.
sure it is going to come up. Is there an end date for applying, or when do they need to apply by? And again, just remind our audience how they can actually apply for these jobs.
Yeah, great. So you can visit foodcorps.org/apply to learn more about FoodCorps service and FoodCorps service in Connecticut and to actually submit the application. We have rolling deadlines for service. So we are working as fast as possible to fill all 20 positions as soon as possible. So my advice would be to apply as soon as possible. We are sending messaging out that says apply by May 1st because you will get in before our second round interviews begin if you do that. So if you're a deadline person, you need like a day to hang on to, I would say get your application in by May 1st so that we can read it and we can have a first round interview and then get you connected with a site to see what might be a fit.
And with this particular Zoom into the community conversation, some people may be seeing this for the first time after May 1st, just because of the sharing and how social media platforms work. So if they are watching this and they just heard you say May 1st and they're going, oh no, I missed it. Is that over for them, or they can continue to apply?
Not too late. Not too late. Rolling deadlines until we fill all the positions. And if you go to our social media, FoodCorps Connecticut on Facebook and FoodCorps_CT on Instagram, you can follow along with kind of like our needs for current positions as well.
All right. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to our old friend, Dawn Craco. Always a pleasure. Thank you for the passion you bring to this. I just love my new partnership with Serve Connecticut AmeriCorps programs and members. This is so much fun getting to know people, see old friends, and see all the great work that's being done. ServeCT.org for more information there. And Dawn, be well. And thank you for spending some time with me today.
Thank you, Renee. I hope to be back sometime.
Absolutely.